Hi everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we'll go through the steps to apply for housing and dining in residence. Once you've gotten yourself all logged in, you've gone through the steps of resetting your password, then you'll be looking at a screen that looks just like this. Along the side here, you'll see the applications that are available to you. On the left-hand side and on the right-hand side, you'll see any announcements from the Office of Residence Life. To get started, you want to click on the blue Get Started link, and then it'll show you the two sections of the application. The first section is the actual application itself, and the second part is the roommate group section. And that one will be its own separate video, so we're not going to look at that for right now. So please click on the first link, New First Year Housing Application. This first page that you're going to look through is information about you as a resident. So it's going to have all of your information in here. And this is all information that comes over from our student ID portal called Banner. So you're going to want to review that, make sure everything is right. And you don't need to give us your social security number, but you're going to be reading through this application, making sure all the information we have for you is accurate. If something isn't accurate, please make those changes as you review it. And then you'll see at the bottom of this page, we ask for your emergency contact. The state of New York requires that all on-campus students designate someone to be the person the university contacts in the event that there is an emergency. We also require that you provide us with the name of someone who we should contact in the event that you go missing. This does not need to be the same person as your emergency contact, but we do need that information, so both for in the event of an emergency and who you'd like contacted in the event that you were to go missing. You can also indicate any allergies or medical conditions that you'd like us to be aware of. And once you've completed all that, you can select Next. If you've missed a step, the application will pause and will ask you to go back. I haven't, so it's going to allow me to move forward. This next page is going to ask you about your meal plan, your room requests, and information about your roommate preferences. So I'm going to select the gold meal plan. And I don't have any preferences for what particular building I end up in, so I'm going to leave that blank, but if I was interested, I would just choose one of the different buildings listed here. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to say that I want to live in Oppenheim. And to do that, I add that item. It's selected here. If I had a second building preference, I could do that at this time by selecting Add Item, choosing a building, and the screen will refresh as I add those two options. Now here's my roommate matching profile. Because I have tested out this application before, you'll see that my options are already pre-filled in. Yours will not, so you'll have to read each of these different prompts and then answer as honestly as you possibly can. It's really, really important that you answer how you actually are, not how you want to be or how you think your parents want you to be or your friends want you to be, because we're trying to do our best to match you up with someone who would be a good roommate fit for you. At the bottom section, you'll see that we have these questions about our living learning community, the Alfred Alfresco, that's located in Barisi Hall, our living learning community in Taft Hall, related to leadership, and our living learning community in Moskowitz, known as the Unity House. If you weren't interested in any of those sections, as you read through the different offerings, you could select No. However, if as you read through these different sections, you do think you are interested, you would select Yes. And what would happen is there would be a drop-down box and it would ask you some questions about why you were interested in living in that area. So for our leadership community, why are you interested in living in the leadership community? In what ways would you see yourself getting connected in the house community? How you would describe yourself as a leader, and then any clubs or organizations that you were involved in prior to coming to Alfred University. And if you were interested in our Unity House, this is for students who are interested in engaging with other students who are different than them in maybe their background, how they identify, maybe their religious or beliefs, and for students who identify themselves as allies, so students who embrace difference and advocate for students from underrepresented populations. These residents will also promote a community where cultural expression and self-expression are encouraged, and so this is a really great community if you are interested in those things. And again, there are some questions for that section as well about why you would want to be a part of the Unity House and in what ways you would see yourself getting involved in the community. Both of these sections also have community standards agreements, and by selecting those, and saying yes to those agreements, you agree that you'll abide by the standards of the house. And if you weren't to abide by those standards, that you recognize that you could be asked to leave the house community. So I'm going to select no so we can keep moving through. This last section is the terms and conditions. I would encourage you to read these very, very closely. This is what you're agreeing to when you sign your housing contract. One of the things I'd like to draw your attention to is that the contract is for the entire year, meaning that if you sign up for housing in the fall and were to decide you didn't want to live in housing in the spring semester, you couldn't just break your contract for the spring semester. We also have a 3-year, 6-semester residency requirement, and so you would need to apply to be released from that housing requirement. So I want to draw your attention to that. Additionally, drawing your attention to the line in the terms and conditions that states that Alfred University is not responsible in the event that something were to be damaged in your residence hall. So we encourage all students to look at potentially procuring themselves renter's insurance or looking at the coverage they may have through their parent or guardian's homeowner's insurance. So once you've read through all that and you understand the terms and conditions, select I agree, and then you can hit next. This last page is just a review of the full contract that you have filled out. So it's one last opportunity for you to make sure that everything you have put in here is correct, that all the information is filled out. You know, at this point you could make a change if you decide, actually, no, I don't want to live in a quiet, steady area. I actually, or if you had selected yes, that you want to select no, or if you select no, now you want to say yes. And just to make sure that everything is as it should, the one last thing I would encourage you to make sure is checked off is this little box that says I agree to the terms and conditions, and submit application. Make sure that you're not hitting this save as draft. You're selecting the submit application. You'll know that you have submitted everything properly if you have this green check mark next to your application, and then you could proceed to creating a roommate group, and that'll be the next video. Thanks for joining us.